Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lex, and I would absolutely love it if you are new here, if you are old here, if you haven't done these things yet, if you would like, share, comment, and subscribe. It really helps to get the videos out there. It lets me know you like the content, and it inspires me to keep creating. Today we are going to be talking about Love is Blind episode 2. Episode 2 only, meaning in the comments, please make sure to only put comments relating to either episode 2 or episode 1, okay? We're going to get into it, okay? Today's title, I technically hold the title of a cheater, okay? Because once again, I feel like the mess is crazy. It's crazy work. The talking points are crazy. So let's begin. We are quickly introduced to Monica in the very beginning of this episode. Monica lets us know that the physical has always been the most important to her, that she loves the muscles, she sees a nice body, and she hasn't really dive deep into people before she assumed like, oh, he looks good, so I'm gonna go for him. So she says she's gonna try not to do this in the pods. We see Monica and Steven talking. We also are introduced to Steven. We did not meet him yet.
Hey, how are you feeling? You're like, I'm fine. And I'm like, no, you're not. How are you feeling?
Oh, I love that.
Like, we're going to talk about this problem until we figure it out. Whether it's a relationship, a marriage, a job, you have to talk about how you're feeling.
Now, Steven lets us know his last relationship was for 2 years. But in this new relationship, he wants to be very communicative. You know, Monica says, look, I want somebody where it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to be imperfect. And Steven says, like, you know, yeah, I would do that. You know, I don't want someone who's perfect. I'm not expecting perfection. Okay. He gives a lot of lead up where he talks about communication. And the reason why is because Steven lets us in on a little bit of his past. Okay. He tells us, I technically hold the title of being a cheater.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about cheating.
Yep.
I technically hold the title of being a cheater. I've been cheated on multiple times as well. I believed that this person that I was dating at the time.
Sir, what does that mean? You are either a cheater or you're not a cheater. I didn't like the way Steven talked about this. I didn't like the approach to this conversation. Now he says, look, I was really insecure, so I slid into a girl's DMs because I thought the girl that I had, I didn't deserve her. It was completely me. It was completely my fault. And because of that, like a dumbass, I'll use his exact terminology, I slid into a girl's DMs because I felt like I didn't deserve her. Obviously, I got caught. But, you know, we worked through it in therapy, me and the ex. I went through that. I went through those emotions. Monica's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, oh, you know what? It's so easy to judge people based off of what happened before, but I know that there could always be more to it. Monica's reaction confused me. This whole thing confused me. First off, I don't really like when people take the approach of kind of pushing the cheating off, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like he was like, you know, I felt like I didn't deserve her, and that's the reason why I didn't know. You cheated, because you're a liar. At least at the time, you were a liar. You were sneaky. And there was clearly something in the relationship that you weren't getting. That doesn't even make sense logically to say, I felt like I didn't deserve the person that I had, so I went to somebody else. So already it just makes me believe that Steven doesn't really take accountability very well for things that he's done. I feel like he gave a lot of empty platitudes. You could clearly tell this man has sat in a therapist chair because he gave a lot of therapy speech. But I just don't feel like Steven has actually learned the lesson in his head about how to actually take accountability. Monica also confused me in this situation because I was confused why Monica did not ask more questions. Why did Monica not ask, so what have you done moving forward to figure this situation out? How have you been in further relationships? Was the cheating in your last relationship? Was it in this relationship? Have you been single since then? I feel like there was not a lot. Monica was enamored with the fact that this man said he went to therapy. And I'm tired of this whole, oh, a guy goes to therapy and suddenly we gonna act like it's the best thing in the world. Because I just feel like she didn't ask enough questions about this situation, which is very concerning to me also, where Monica admitted to us that she usually goes for guys that look good. She doesn't usually dive deep into guys. So I don't know about it all. I was very concerned about this conversation. Meanwhile, in the pods, Hannah is regretting her decision from the end of last episode. She is telling Marissa that she really regrets breaking it off with Nick.
I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. I feel like I didn't do it right. And then Brittany came in and she was like, I just got on my date with Leo. And I'm like, I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
She was already upset because she had just broken up.
She's not sure why she did that, what she was doing. And she even says, I don't know if he's still here, but I requested a date with him. So, anyways, Brittany and Leo.
I knew, I'm very intuitive. I already knew. And then it was just confirmed today.
Now, Brittany is telling Leo that she accidentally spilled in front of Hannah, that the two of them are talking. She's clearly pretty upset that Leo has another person, okay? You can tell in this conversation she's not that happy. He's like, I have a crush on you, like... You know, I really like you, Brittany. And she's like, I think I should have went home. Like, I don't even know. I just feel really sad today. He says, look, I don't want to say the L word yet. I don't want to say I love you, but I definitely can see myself getting there pretty soon. You know, when I'm with you, you know, you are the only girl, so you don't have to really worry about that. Now, they go on talking. He tries to comfort her, but he does say something that I don't think really made it better. But he says, look, I'm going to be honest with you. Before this date, you were number 2. However, at the end of this date, you actually are now both number 1 to me. Which she's like, okay, we're both number 1. What does that mean? He goes on to say he can see himself marrying her, and he even asks her, can you see yourself marrying me? And she says, yeah. I don't know, the way she said it was not that convincing. But overall, we can definitely tell Leo is conflicted between both of his matches right now. Now, Hannah and Nick D do get to have that requested date.
I want you. I want you really bad. You gotta give me a chance.
I know.
Like, you gotta give me a chance.
Okay, Hannah wants to run it back. Okay, I think Hannah wants to run it back, knowing that Leo has another connection in this house. I think that Hannah was like, wait, uh-oh. He says he was very, very hurt, and she does try to apologize for everything. She was like, look, I tried to hurt you first because I thought you were going to hurt me. You know, other people that I talked to told me, like, you know, I should end it. And so I just got worried. He's like, wait, so you listened to others that told you to end it with me? And she's like, yeah. Like, just flat out, yeah. Here's what I'll say about Hannah. I think that Hannah, 2 things are true at once. I think Hannah is very insecure. I would assume that Hannah, we see Hannah's a taller girl. She's a thicker girl. I do think Hannah's probably had some struggles when it's come to maybe getting the guys that she is personally attracted to. So I do believe that Hannah was onto something with believing that this guy, there's something off. I mean, even the way that he was laying it on so thick, talking about looks, laying it on so thick that he can't wait to see what he's gonna do to her. That to me all screams red flags. But I do also believe that Hannah does display insecure traits. I do think the way she's so ready to be like, I know you're not gonna like me. I'm not what you want. I'm not a Victoria's Secret model. I do think that while that could come off as self-awareness, it could also be insecurities. And I'm interested to see what it ends up being. So just an observation there on Hannah. But he says, look, like, I want you really bad, Hannah. Like, I really do like you. And again, something about Nick, I'm not buying it like that, but okay, we'll go with it. They do both agree that they want to keep talking to each other. So they basically throughout scratch everything that happened yesterday because now these two are back and they're better again. He says, though, that he does want to explore both connections to the end. Hannah does seem pretty understanding of it. He does even point it out, like, wow, you seem very understanding. She's like, yeah, this is the experiment. I get it. I completely understand there might be other people. But he does make sure to reiterate by the end of their conversation that he does not care what she looks like. He just wants to get to know her and be with her. All right. Now, Taylor and Garrett, they give each other gifts.
Sounds like good life.
So when are you asking me to be your girlfriend?
Taylor, would you be my girl?
He gives her some honey from his dad's farm. Sorry, I didn't write it down. But it was honey from his dad's bee farm. And then she gives him an avocado tree. And she's like, yeah, the tree sprouts fruit in like 5 to 7 years, which is like when I want to have kids. And he's like, oh, yeah, about that 5 to 7 years comment, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really want to have kids in that time frame. I think that's a bit too long for me. She's like, whoa, wait. You wouldn't have to compromise because look, like, I always said that I didn't want to have kids with previous partners because I felt like I was gonna have to compromise parts of my life. I felt like I was going to have to, give up on certain things. But now I've had a great life. I've had an amazing life. So now with you, I feel like I would be ready. And I feel like being with you and having kids together, that would be a great addition to my life rather than taking away from my life. And I don't know, just the way that Taylor seems so ready to give up what she wanted is kind of alarming to me because it's like, if your timeline's 5 to 7 years and that's what you said in the beginning, but now all of a sudden you changed your mind because he said it wasn't his timeline and you're that easy to just be like, no, I was just joking. I was just kidding. I don't know, but that kind of raised an eyebrow for me. They also do get into a conversation about looks. They start talking about, oh, what if you don't find me attractive? What if you don't find me attractive? And he says, look, like, I want my partner to find me attractive. That's very important to me. We live in a world where, you go on the apps and people go off looks, but I do really want that to be something. And again, that just seems kind of like a throwback to the ethnicity comments where she doesn't really want to tell her ethnicity yet. So we are introduced to Bodan as well as Marissa.
The biggest one, and I walked towards that one. It's like hump was probably at like 8-9 feet. Yeah, it was literally the biggest camel I could see. And I bring out my camera, take a picture of it, and I look up from my camera and
So first thing, Marissa, very bubbly, very loud, very like, woo! Like she is a very energetic, I'll say that. Bodan, we get some stories about him. He talks about when he was in the Marines and a camel tried to stomp him out. He thought that was the end for him. He also talks about how he went back to Ukraine during the bombings, and how he went back to go help everybody in Ukraine. And that was like the second time in his life where he felt like things were not about to be good for him. So he's basically just opening up about the times in his life when he felt like, it was the end for him, how he's grateful for his life. Marissa does bond with him over that. She was also in the military, so she gets the honor and how you feel in doing that service for others. And they joke like, so he jokes like, what's your party story, Marissa? And she's like, I gotta come back and think about mine. So Okay, we'll see. Now we are also introduced to Ramses, and I ain't gonna hold y'all. Ramses was cute, okay? In motion, he was pretty cute. I was like, okay.
I have a feeling I'm gonna end up in a love triangle.
Oh God. I better not be the second girl. I don't want.
No, I mean like there's gonna be probably like 2 guys after you.
I don't know. I don't know.
And I told myself coming in like I wouldn't really
Much better than that picture we saw in the cast reveal. So it sounds like these two had another date that we didn't see shown on the show, which that's one thing I wanted to point out about the editing of this episode. It seemed like for the people we're seeing this episode that we haven't met yet, we're seeing like their second or third dates, which, okay, interesting editing choice. But anyway, Marissa says she felt very comfortable in the date that she had with Ramses earlier. He's like, yeah, I think about you a lot. You're basically my top one right now. She does say that she is in between 2 connections. Ramses does dive a little bit into his background, how he was married to his high school sweetheart. He grew up in a very conservative Christian house, so that was just kind of the way it went, you know? But they grew apart, so, you know, she asked, do you still talk to the ex? No. He says no. He does talk about his friends and how his friends are a great example of masculinity, you know, like healthy masculinity, how toxic masculinity is something that he has pushed to the side. He's very comfortable with his sexuality, with his masculinity, how he's very comfortable with expressing that in any way he sees fit. And it doesn't have to be traditional gender roles, traditional anything. And Marissa loves that. She says she really loves that because she's used to military men. She drops that she dated conservative Trump supporter for 4 years. Then she dated liberals, which also just a question, girl. Like, what are your viewpoints then? Because I don't know. I feel like we live in a day and age where how did that work for you? I have a few questions. But, you know, she goes on about, you know, saying the physical doesn't matter for her. Ramsey says, really? If I'm like 5'4", you won't care? And she's like, no. I've never cared about the physical. So, interesting. Very interesting. I will say I do like Ramses a lot. Again, I thought even in the first drop, the first look, I thought I probably would like him. He seems like a very empathetic guy. He does seem like a very in tune guy with who he is, and that's very nice. I like that. I like that a lot. So we will see. We will see with Ramses. So back at the pods, Garrett sends a note to Taylor asking her to be his girlfriend. I forgot to mention that in their conversation. They ended off with them joking. He's like, will you be my girlfriend? And she's like, no, you need to ask me better than that. And they just end up joking around about how he's going to actually ask her to be his girlfriend. So he does that. Now we see Alex and Tim again.
Been in a lot of rooms and at a lot of tables that I would have never imagined myself in, and like looked at a lot of people in the eyes that.
So Tim tells us that joining the Navy was the best day of his life and getting out was the second best day of his life. Alex tells us, well, my grandfather was secretary of the Nation of Islam. She grew up Catholic. Her father was Catholic, but her grandfather was part of the nation. Now we get a little more in depth about Tim because remember his 2 sisters passed away. So he does talk a bit about what happened to his oldest sister. Basically, she had lupus. She entered the hospital and he says, you know, she entered the hospital and then she never came back out. You know, he said his mom made one of the most guttural, animalistic sounds he ever heard when his sister did pass away, and it's something he's never heard his mom did before because she was just so distraught. And he said it was very, very hard, but when he was in the room with her, he had seen the class ring on her finger, and I think it was his other sister at the time was like, he was trying to get it off her finger or whatever to get it. And his sister was like, the sister was trying to get it off the finger, I believe. And he was like, can you do that? And they took it. But he basically says he wears both of his older sister's class rings around his neck. to always carry them with him. And very sad story, very, very sad story for Tim. You know, they are talking more and more. And again, he feels so comfortable with her. You can really tell that he feels safe. And I think he said that back in the pods. He was like, you know, I've had so many things with women, but I've never had a situation where I felt safe, where I felt protected. I never had that in a relationship. And I feel that with Alex. And as they're talking, he even says, look, like, I get to give my parents one more daughter, you know, and that's going to really mean the world to them. And y'all, I had a tear in my eye. I was like, I hope it works with these two because they're already, you know, bonding through trauma. And we already know trauma bonding, it's not always the greatest. I understand that this show obviously encourages it because all they do is talk for 2 weeks. But I'm hoping that they actually bond as people and not just through shared trauma. Because obviously this is a safe space for him. And it seems like Tim doesn't really get a space to talk about this that often. So we will see. So Garrett and Taylor, they have another talk. They, you know, she's reading some letters from her grandparents. And then eventually at the end of this, Garrett does propose to Taylor. Taylor says yes.
We're very, very, very lucky.
Here we are. Can't wait to see you.
So we have our first proposal, Garrett and Taylor. Okay, now Monica and Steven, they meet up again.
You're gonna force them to be a better version of themselves. I don't want to settle for anything less.
I agree. Like, you make me feel super confident in being here.
This conversation was interesting. So she comes out the bat. She said, did you vote in the last election? He says, I did vote. It was rough. He basically tells us, look, my dad's a Republican. He will always vote Republican no matter what. I don't really agree with that. He's like, I'm a centrist. You know, I want my candidate to kind of have whatever I'm looking for. So he admits that in the first election with Hillary versus Trump, he had actually voted for Trump because he did not personally like Hillary. Whereas he said in this last election, he voted for Biden because he became more educated. He says, look, I'm going to be honest. I realized that I was not that educated or that informed in the first election when I made that vote. So this time around, I decided to be a bit more educated on things. He then gets into a little bit of his background and he says, look, I grew up thinking I was Italian. My mom's side of the family, they're German, and we always thought we were Italian on our dad's side. However, I did an ancestry DNA test and it came back like 0.3% European, period. Like, that's not a thing. And instead, what the majority of his dad's ancestry side came back as is a bunch of like countries from Africa. I forgot exactly which countries, I'm sorry. But he's basically found out that his dad is half black. And so because of that, he has this whole new identity, this whole new heritage that he found out. And he didn't know this. He didn't grow up this way, but he said he really wanted to figure out the cultures from the African countries that he is from. And it was just really, really important to him to tap into that side. So he claims. Monica, tells us that her mom is Honduran, but her parents are interracial couple, and that her dad is an African-American black man. So she also has that kind of shared experience of having multiple cultures, being of multiple races. So they do bond and once again connect on that. Ashley and Tyler have a conversation.
I got your back for life.
Sometimes when hearts are...
And they have some food in their pods and he prays over the food. They talk a lot about their faith and how important it is to them. And then they do get to listen to some music where Ashley's getting really, really emotional. You know, he basically reassures her, look, no matter what, you are always protected. I always got you. No matter what happens in this pod, I have your back for life. All right, Tyler. And lastly, we have the Garrett and Taylor reveal.
Now I have. Taylor and I have remained very strict in not talking about appearances, so She knows I'm white. There's nothing else on me other than that, and I have.
So once again, they are leading up to it. Taylor talks a lot again about how it was important for her to not tell her ethnicity because she wanted to be loved for who she is. Garrett gives his side saying, I'll be honest, this is the first time, you know, I only dated white girls. I don't know her ethnicity. I don't care though. I'm gonna love her for who she is, but I am worried because I don't know anything about her, and that is that. But we leave off on a cliffhanger, and as I said before, please do not leave spoilers in the comments. This is only for episode 2, and remember, episode 2 left off on a cliffhanger. Thank you guys so much. Now, if you made it to this point of the video, that means you liked the video, so I would greatly appreciate it if you would like, share, comment, and subscribe. Help me to drum up engagement. Please make sure you are subscribed. You have the bell on so you know when I drop new videos. And last but not least, please make sure you are still subscribed to the videos because YouTube likes to unsubscribe people. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys in the next episode, which is episode 3. Bye!